Okay, so whenever you're ready, we'll just kind of roll straight into it. This is the first time I've done an interview as well, so you'll have to bear with me. It's all a bit new. Okay, so hello, Bart&Baker. Welcome to Prohibition Radio Show.
Hello, Emma.
Hello, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule. I know you guys are super busy. Now, for the listeners who might be new to electroswing, can you tell me a bit about yourselves? So who are Bart&Baker and how and when did it all begin?
Yeah, so this is Baker.
Hello.
Bart. We took our artist name from our background. Baker used to be a favorite to Josephine Baker, the legendary singer and actress.
Wow.
And she wanted to adopt him when he was a little child. So from this story, he made his name as an artist. And my pseudonym comes from The Simpsons.
Bart.
Because basically, we first met when we were collecting records. You know, those record fair that you like to go to get vinyl and CD. And one of the merchants thought that we should connect because I was going after jazz sample in house music, and Baker was interested in two remixes of old-fashioned jazz. So basically, he thought those two guys could actually benefit to each other if they meet. And Bart&Baker is not born right away. We used to travel to New York when it was cheap. We used to come on a Friday and we were leaving on a Sunday evening. And our occupation was to do record shopping and to go to a famous party in New York called Body and Soul. Maybe you heard about it.
At the Vinyl Club.
It was fantastic because it was in the afternoon. It was open to all communities, Spanish, gay, music lovers, tourists, in a very, very nice friendship around music. And it was very free. The sound was disco, Latin, very enthusiastic. And the DJ were old. They were like around 45, 50.
Oh, wow, so that's amazing.
So we thought there's a place on earth where maybe we could play music. And so basically from this trip, and after 9/11, the club was shut down. So we couldn't actually go back to New York, and the mood was very different. Mm-hmm. And we started to come to clubs in Paris and try to connect with communities. And even if I love French touch and the sound from this era, the DJ were 25 years old, and they were wondering why daddies were coming to the club to speak to them. On the other side, we met with a guy who was into mashup. You know, mashup was a big trend a few years ago. And he was a Lindy Hop dancer as well. And he asked us to come to a Lindy Hop party. And we met the organizer, and the organizer was interested into our, very early mix of vintage remix sound. Mm-hmm. And he was interested because the club was not making enough money with the Lindy Hop dancers, classical story. Mm-hmm. And they needed the clubbers to come with a different soundtrack. And that's how we started building up a playlist and try to find some sounds that could fit to the remix vintage category.
Amazing. That's such a cool story. And the fact that Mr. Baker has such a cool kind of mom as well. That's awesome. Like, okay. And also I think we need to talk about, obviously, your style. It's so iconic. The tuxedos and the top hats that you wear for your shows, they're super distinctive. As soon as anybody sees them, they know that it's Bart&Baker. How did you come up with the idea? And also, how did you decide who gets to wear red and who gets to wear white?
No, we change. It's not all the time the same. Sometimes mm-hmm. he's black, sometimes he's white. It's me who has this idea because when I was student, I was working at the Folies Bergère. It's a musical in Paris, mm-hmm. and it was so fascinating, all these costumes. So I said, why don't we make costumes for the DJ when we make DJ set?
And I think he made a point saying that usually when you go and perform on a stage, you want to make the audience the most dazzling as possible. And wearing a costume is like, it's like you say thank you for the public to pay a ticket and come to see you.
Mm-hmm.
It's very old-fashioned, I know, but the funny story is that we playing for a billionaire sometimes around the year, and that's because he knew a costume from Tomorrowland that he could ask to his employee, could you find those people wearing top hats? So if you were wearing jeans and tees, you would never find who we were.
Exactly, and I have to say, you guys absolutely suit the style. You're so suave, as we say in English. It really suits you. So yeah, well done.
I can say something that Baker is not going to be happy, but basically those costumes come from wedding shop.
Oh, you're giving away your trade secrets there, don't you?
No, we don't.
I'll be going to the shops to buy.
But
you got there first. And obviously, you two were one of the first acts to start playing electroswing, and that must have been super exciting. I know you kind of touched on how you kind of started with the vintage remix and everything, but kind of what's been your inspiration to start kind of playing and producing the sound? And did you guys play any other genres before you got into electroswing?
Any of what? Sorry?
Any other different styles of music before you played electroswing?
Yeah, as I said, for another of your question, we are big collectors of music. We may have about 15,000 records all around, and we buy constantly. We go to Tokyo now because this is the only city in the world where you can buy decent music.
Ooh, another trade secret.
It's a secret. There's a lot of electroswing actually in Japan, and even local pressings that nobody knows about. I should send you that. So the story is that we love the New York house sound of the 90s. Basically, all the basic house music style, without the EDM push-up. Yeah. And when we were going to the States, the electroswing sound was developing. What people don't know is that there's an issue with using music under copyright in America. Walt Disney has voted a law, especially for Walt Disney, and also cultural content that protected for 95 years. So electroswing is born in USA, but the only way to get the music released was to partner with European label. This is why J-Swing, that you know about, J-Swing is only an umbrella label to just release the production from American DJ that were stopped from releasing it because of the copyright.
Interesting there.
And my theory is that the real origin of electroswing is the house music, the stylish vocal house music using a bit of sample from jazz.
Yeah, I do love the kind of obviously house music's very much part of where I come from, and I do love the whole jazz samples with house. It's interesting that you mentioned kind of 90s house music as well, obviously kind of like, I don't know, and also Marshall Jefferson and the kind of Chicago house. I guess that's been a big part of your
what's funny is that we're working at the moment on a remix with a French guy signed with Nervous Records.
Oh wow, nice.
You remember this label?
Yeah, that's something great to look forward to. Very exciting.
You know what's the story behind Nervous Records that nobody really knows? The guy behind Nervous Records is the son of a guy who owns most of the disco music copyright.
Oh wow, useful guy to know.
So his father get all the disco sound, like stocked somewhere, and the son makes some house music with the sample.
Amazing, I love it. Obviously, you, as Bart&Baker, you've released so many tracks. I know this might be really hard for you to say, but if you had to pick one, can you pick one of your favorites and why?
Yeah, I think, there's one track that we like. It's a track we wrote for Clementine, which is a long-lasting, this is that French girl who is so famous in Japan and nobody knows her in France, the big in Japan effect. And we wrote a song for her called I've Got a Date with My Soul. Except that when you say soul in French, âme, it sounds like homme, man. And so I think this song is good because it's got a lot of subtle lyrics. There is the development in the arrangement, and it's quite sexy. You know, it's kind of mixing everything we like about production.
And I made it in English.
And we had a version with Nicole Rochelle
in English,
which is good as well. You know, sometimes when you adapt in different languages, it's not perfect, but this time it worked wonderfully.
Yeah,
that's maybe a favorite with us.
Nice. Well, everyone go check that track out. Maybe we'll post a link to it in the comments for the videos when we put this up on YouTube. Now, as well as releasing original music, I was having a little bit of scoot about on your Facebook page, and I was seeing some really big names popping up on there and the people that you've worked with, for say Dimitri in Paris, Caravan Palace. Have you got any interesting studio stories that you could maybe share with the listeners from when you've worked with people like this?
Well, you know, as you know, Caravan Palace is a very easy band to work with.
Oh wow, that's great to hear.
Just making a joke. That every time we have produced a remix for Caravan Palace, the first one was a mixed version between Dragons and Coquine. And I think they made it under a new name called Drag Queen.
Oh, okay.
They cut the drag from Dragons and the Queen from Coquine. And the second was the remix of Dramophone. Believe me or not, the 2 times we made a remix for them, we were still waiting for their approval while we were mixing the compilation.
Oh, wow.
So we were like, okay, if it doesn't go into the compilation, what number would we put instead, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine that'd be quite frustrating.
Yeah, I think, you know, this is a band with so many people who want to have a view on things that it's always difficult to get a democratic vote when you are 7 under the table.
Definitely. Do you two ever fall out with music, or do you always kind of see eye to eye when you're writing tracks?
You mean if we meet the artist if we can?
No, like if you're doing a Bart&Baker track, do you always kind of agree on what you're doing, or do you?
Yeah, you know what's funny is that our rule as Bart&Baker is that we decide in the car.
That's a great place to
you know, when we're listening to new tracks, we listen it on the car stereo. Best way to know if your track is sounding well. And when we have finished a track, like I can tell you today, we have done the new electroswing track of Nicole Rochelle.
Nice.
Which is going to be our big release of this year. I think we're going to play it in the car. If it sounds good in the car, then it's good.
That's a great tip. So any up and coming producers listening to the show, get your tracks on in the car stereo, but you heard it from Bart&Baker. So just touching back on people that you've worked with, obviously you've worked with some great names. Is there anyone that you haven't yet worked with but you'd really like to?
Well, we had a little conversation because Baker was surprised, but I've put Dita Fontes.
Oh, okay.
And the thing is that Dita will never make really electro swing because positioning as a brand is to work with very sharp electronic producers because you know, a category is couture and fashion.
Yeah.
So I don't think she would do electro swing because it would already add to a glamorous image. But you know, she's a nice woman. She's always been very nice to us, and maybe one day she will be happy to do something with us. She
might see your top hat and tails at Tomorrowland Festival and come finding you. That's really cool. Now, obviously, I think that leads us really well.
And Baker forgot to say, he's a die-hard fan of Dame Shirley Bassey.
Ooh, that would be. I would love to see a collaboration.
When I was a kid, I was listening Shirley Bassey and saw her on stage. And when she made
she reached a new level with Propeller Head.
Yes.
Wow.
You know?
So I said, we can do something with her.
Do you know what? I think we need to make that happen. I would absolutely love to see that.
Yeah.
We need to start a campaign. We'll make that one happen. Now, obviously, we've talked a little bit about Tomorrowland. Obviously, it happens every year in July. You guys have played for it. Is it 10 years now? It would have been your 10th year? Yeah, I mean,
do you know where Tomorrowland come from originally?
all I know that obviously it's a massive festival that's held in Belgium.
Originally, the people behind Tomorrowland were producing some compilation called Thunderdome.
Oh, okay.
They were very art tech compilation in the 90s. So they made a bit of cash flow with it. Tomorrowland was free the first or second year and was only gathering the local scene from Antwerp, because people behind Tomorrowland are from Antwerp. And then it became what it is. But you want to get our view on Tomorrowland?
Would I like to play at Tomorrowland?
Do you want to know what
I mean, what makes it so special? I mean, it must be good because you've gone back there for 10 years. So, and I've never been, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that haven't been. So,
I think, like every festival, Tomorrowland is like an utopia. It's like a passage to the adult age.
Okay.
It's just in between the end of college and becoming, an active player in the society. And I think that's what I like about it, because when you go, okay, this is not the highest rated music in the world, but people who go there are very sincere. There's a feeling that I found very positive. They could say that we are under the radar of the age limit for being a DJ, but they never complain about that. They came and they wanted to have a picture with us, and an example of Tomorrowland, which makes it very crazy, they have a little chapel. Little chapel as a mattress.
Oh, wow.
And you have half an hour and 2 condoms to just do your things while 2 people are guarding the entrance. And it's one of the things they put in the festival that makes it so special.
Oh, wow. It sounds
really
cool.
Many different...
and the music.
And the music has moved, because I remember I've seen Solomon. Solomon played the main stage 2 years ago. So those people are not stupid, they're moving towards the public taste is, and they have some interesting addition to the recent edition.
Yeah, that's really cool, and it's really nice to hear that obviously people are so friendly and welcoming towards you. And I think obviously what you say about how you see yourselves is like pushing the upper age limit for being a DJ. I think that obviously music, that what makes music so special is there is no age limit in music. And I think that, people should never look at a DJ and think they're too old.
And one thing about Tomorrowland, it's much more cleaner than Glastonbury.
Oh, that's good. Less mud.
No, our costumes.
Yeah, sadly with the British festivals, one thing we cannot guarantee is the weather. So they are often quite muddy. Now, obviously, you've been all the way around the world. You say you go to Tokyo quite a lot, searching for music. You played in Germany. All over, you've come to Manchester for Prohibition. Do you enjoy traveling and the kind of lifestyle that goes with that, or do you prefer spending time in the studio?
It's an interesting question, and it's a really sincere answer. When we travel, we usually are very creative. Ideas with song come from when you are in a plane and you just are in a bubble. And usually we write our tracks while we travel, and we come back to the studio to make it happen.
Oh,
so
wow.
basically, both environments are very complementary.
That's really cool. I would never have thought to kind of write a track on an airplane. So is that why you travel so much? Because you're so creative when you're traveling?
No, the thing is that when you are in an airplane, you have no responsibility at all of what's going to happen. Someone is driving the plane, and you are just completely, if you feel it, unstressed, because there's no way you're going to control what's going to happen with the flight. So for the brain, it's a very good way to open to creativity. Same with hotel. When you're in a hotel room, you delegate all the different things to people who care about you. And then your brain is completely available to do other things.
That's a really good tip again. So for any producers that are listening to the show, take your laptop on the airplane and write music. Good things will happen. Now, obviously, you played loads of shows. But could you pick kind of like a few standout shows which have been a few favorites to play?
So what did we put? I think playing in Manchester was a thing we liked.
Thanks.
I can tell you the story. When we were booked to play in Manchester, we were very fearing that people, this is one of the music symbol of UK, I mean, with Liverpool. So we thought people are going to be very expecting with the sound and the attempt, but we just forgot that the people from the north are so nice. And they just, like the people in the north of France, like in Lille, they are the nicest people in France. And I think the audience was really, really cool. And I really love the first year we came in the little bar.
Yeah.
Was it the shack?
Yeah.
The shack or something?
The zombie shack.
Yeah. So I would say that one is a good memory. Glastonbury is another one because it was such a what the fuck festival. Even nobody knows this story, but we parked our car in a parking without knowing that there were 40 different parking in the place.
Oh wow.
After playing until 2 o'clock in the morning, we spent 1 hour with a key to try to find our car.
Oh no, that's not what you want at 2 a.m., is it?
Yeah. So Glastonbury would be another one, and maybe playing at the Olympia, because Olympia
in Paris, the Olympia.
It's a concert hall that is a bit like the Astoria or the Royal Albert Hall. People who are the fringe of celebrity are usually offered to play at Olympia, and we were lucky to play 3 times. One to open Scott Bradley, one to open Caro Emerald, and one to open Earth, Wind and Fire.
Oh wow, Earth, Wind and Fire, that is a great one. That's one to tick off the bucket list, I have to say.
But even a small party is a great memory.
Yes.
I wouldn't really rate a place by the number of people who came to see the show.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Obviously, being a DJ myself as well, some of the best events I played are the smaller ones, and it's lovely to hear that you enjoyed Manchester as well. I know I always get so many lovely comments from all the Prohibition regulars about you guys. They really, really enjoyed it.
That's the expression that people say, it's grim up north.
Grim up north. It's lovely up north.
Yeah. And I mean, we loved about Manchester.
That's lovely. And is there anywhere that you've not yet played but you'd like to if you got the chance?
Actually, we are so lucky. Something that people don't really know, we don't have a booker.
Oh wow! Oh, you do it all yourselves.
We never got a concert by asking. We only get emails from people asking us to perform. So, I would let the luck be as it is. If I get a request, let's be a request. I'm not gonna pretend to ask some things that I don't deserve. So I will just wait the email to come through.
That's a very, very lovely mantra that I think a lot of people could learn from. So yeah, I take my hat off to you. I know, in fact, I am actually wearing a flat cap, although this is radio. I am wearing a hat, so there we go. Obviously, you played some massive gigs. Tomorrowland, Glastonbury, they're like huge. I know if that was me, I'd be so nervous. But do you get nervous before you go on stage? And if so, how do you deal with the nerves?
I think it's good to be nervous. I can tell you some other stories. We usually prepare 3 different playlists, like one smooth, one medium, and one a bit hard, because you never really know what people will go for, and it's always good to be prepared. In a way, being very prepared is the best way to kill the stage fright. But I'm going to tell you another story. We played in a like a Coachella festival in France. It's in Corsica, and we were supposed to play for 1 hour, and the other DJ never came up, so we ended up playing 5 hours.
Oh,
and
wow.
that was the best set of our life, because basically we were like juggling with tracks, and people were enjoying it. And, so that comes completely against my first theory. You can have a very surprising you know, we played in Lollapalooza, which was a little festival like
In Belgium.
no, Uzapalooza.
Uza.
And I remember very well because we met a tent snake. He was starting.
Nice.
He was starting, and his flight was late, so he played only half of his set. And he came to see our stage, and once again we were given 2 hours to play, and we ended up playing 5 hours. And so he came to see us in the backstage and said, "Why, guys, you have so much energy! I loved it." And we were desperate, you know, because you know we prepare 2 hours, you end up playing 3 other hours.
Yeah.
So you have to be having a laugh about it, or you're not going to survive.
Exactly. That, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. That's something you learn. Again, this goes out to kind of the DJs that might be listening. There's no point getting upset when things go wrong. You just got to roll with it. As you say, you just got to have fun, and also be prepared, as you say, because you don't know how many hours you'll end up playing for. So yeah, that's cool. Now, from the outside in, you seem to lead like a really cool lifestyle. What do you enjoy most about your job, and is there anything about it that you don't like?
No, well, there's nothing we don't like, because we are little bastard. When we don't like to do something, we don't do it. So if we see anything that's going to be negative in the horizon, we just don't go, you know. We close the door. The best thing for me is being able to work with wonderful artists. You know, like today, we did the new song of Nicole Rochelle. And Nicole introduced us to a fantastic musician, a Lebanese musician. He plays piano, 2 saxophone, and clarinet.
Wow.
And he was even in the early stage of Caravan Palace.
That's amazing. He sounds very talented.
This guy was so
Good.
involved in the track. He played a lot of different melodic line. And I was like, thanks God, you know, it's not a celebrity, but for me, he's a star. Because those people make the music stand up, you know.
Exactly.
And obviously, you're happy to meet a celebrity, but you know, it's all about connection with people, you know.
Definitely, it is, and about you've met some really cool people. So that's great to hear that you guys enjoy your job so much. I think that's really special when you find something in life that you really enjoy. Some people say that you never do a day's work again because you enjoy it. So yeah, and so an interesting question here for you. This is all completely make-believe, by the way. This hasn't actually happened. You receive a call from the Warner Brothers studio. They're making a film about your life. Who would you pick to play Bart&Baker, and why?
Why did I put
this dude putting you on the spot here?
I remember we answered to that one. I think for Baker, I was proposing James Gandolfini. If you know, he played the soprano. So like a big guy. I mean, for me, and the second choice was Tony Shalhoub.
Ooh, nice.
We loved the TV show Monk. You know, the guy has a lot of tics, you know.
Right.
And for me, Baker wanted to put Benny Hill, which I don't really like. And for me, it would be more Billy Crystal.
Okay.
You know, who's an American actor who's, you know, always very demonstrative, you know, always rolling his eyes.
Speaking a lot.
It's very...
I like that, speaking a lot.
It's very me.
That's great. You know what? I'd really love to see a film made about Bart&Baker. I think it would be great. Also, you know, maybe
there was a movie about Laurel and Hardy, Stan and Laurel.
Yes.
And, we just hope that the movie wouldn't be about the downside of the business, you know, because the movie about Laurel and Hardy is at the end of their career. Nobody wants them anymore. They do last tour in UK to make money.
Yeah.
I really hope nobody in our artist life will show that we are making the exterior that we shouldn't, you know.
I totally understand that. So yeah, maybe one day we shall see it on the big screens. Now I'd like to just ask you about new kind of producers and bands that are coming into the electro swing scene. There seems to have been quite a lot of music released at this show, which is great, and also kind of a lot of new artists. So is there anyone you can pick out as your one to watch for 2020?
You know, what's interesting is how Twitch and TikTok have adopted electro swing as a background. You know, we get notification from TikTok artists, you know, who perform on Instagram. So I think it's funny because basically electro swing was already one of the top 5 music for advertising synchro, and basically it's not bizarre that they are so much played in video game performance and TikTok, because it makes people happy, you know. And as long as electro swing will not try to be too brainy, which is something that can be bad to any genre of music, you know. If you take jazz, I don't like intellectual jazz, you know, it gets me very bored.
Yeah.
And for me, the original jazz is about playing music in the Latin Quarter in New Orleans, you know.
Yeah.
It's not about five gloomy people on the stage, you know, who play music that want to make you hang yourself, you know.
Absolutely. And are there any kind of specific producers or bands that have kind of caught you now?
I would say that I was very impressed and very, very supportive to Dirty Moonshine. Because we met them through Kiwi Star, you know, a good friend of them. I remember we saw them at the very early stage of their career in a party in Scotland. And, you know, they were very straight to their music, you know, very, you know, not trying to make a compromise. And, you know, basically, if you look at where they are today, I mean, they're the best example of doing what you like and go with your passion. So I would say, you know, even if they're not a new band, for me, they come out as a new band this year with this project.
Yeah, that's really, really lovely of you to say, and I think everybody would agree with you on that one, Mike. Dirty Moonshine, he's played at Prohibition a couple of times. He's super lovely, super passionate, and they absolutely deserve the top 40 album success that they've just achieved. So yeah. And from talking about new producers and bands, I know we've kind of a few kind of tips have kind of come out in this interview for aspiring DJs, but have you yourselves got any advice that you can give people that might be listening to the show that are thinking of taking up DJing electro swing or wanting to produce it?
You mean would I recommend to build yourself a personality in the DJ scene as a, you know, well, basically the secret is listen many music, because it's not only the track with electro swing on the name that will be electro swing. There's a lot of music on the DJ you know, shops that are actually electro swing, but the producer have labeled it another name.
Yes.
It takes a time to find them, but sometimes you have some real diamonds, hidden gems, you know. And I think that's what's funny when you're a DJ, is actually to go with your mass now, because it's a lot about digital, and try to find some very exciting track that you're gonna share with your audience. Because everybody can do like a playlist of the latest release electro swing, you know.
Yeah.
What makes the difference is obviously when you produce track and you offer it to your audience as an extra. And when you are, you know, I'll take the example of Johannes, you know, Johannes RH from Electro Swing Nation.
Yeah.
Johannes has a very large culture of music, and is able to dig some electro swing in Indian music, in all kind of music. And I think for me, he's got the right approach. You know, I'm sorry for those who know what electro swing is really. I mean, myself, I can put electro swing in many different categories, and I don't. I mean, we don't like to be pigeonholed, you know, as people, and we don't like to be pigeonholing or research of music, you know. It's always moving. When you're an artist, you are never formatted anyway, you know.
Yeah, that's really great advice, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. When you were talking about kind of looking for hidden gems, I think that's one of the fun things about being a DJ. Obviously, when it was vinyl, you'd go into a record shop and you'd dig in the crates, but now you're doing it virtually, and there's some really great places to go for. And as you say, a lot of electro swing isn't necessarily categorized as the genre. I know there's stuff like Throttle and Landis and those kind of producers that are from the EDM world are actually putting stuff out that could arguably be electro swing. So yeah, for DJs that are looking to get into the genre, do your homework. It's not always obvious to find, but if you go looking, you will find some really cool music. So back to your own music. In 2017, you released an album called Electro Swing New Generation. 2 years on, do you think much has changed in the electro swing scene, and what do you think the future holds for the genre?
I think what I can see is more and more real bands coming on the scene. You know, I think people are making the effort of building up, a band approach with real instruments.
Yeah,
and try to make something. I mean, we all like to put sample in the track with kicks, but I mean, for God's sake, we are able to write original tracks with a vibe and do something different from, taking always the same loop in the same photos, So yeah, I mean, people are brave, because electroswing is not such. It's not such a niche that makes you very rich, basically. You have to really, really believe in what you do to go into it. But yeah, basically, the level of production has risen, on the other side, but I never listened to those music, it seems there's a very cheap offer of electro swing for Japan animatics or whatever it is. Okay, why not? It's a free word. But yeah. Electro swing is going to be around for a long time. It's not going to die.
Swing is here to stay, as they say. It's
in
interesting.
The darker times, in the darker times, swing is always coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that leads us on really well to talk about the work that you've done. Excuse me, in other genres, because although the Prohibition listeners will best know you for electro swing. I think you said it yourselves. You don't want to pigeonhole yourself. You've released everything from like chill jazz and house, even touched on drum and bass in a few of your releases. What led you to start releasing other styles of music, and how do you split your time between so many projects?
Yeah, first we're listening to all kind of music, and I mean, maybe we are a bit vain to say that, but for me, the Bart&Baker brand as producer is enough to put any track on it. I can even tell you we are preparing a collection of acoustic version of all our tracks, and I know that one of the tracks has been made into a Combia version. A good song can be made in very different production formats. So me and Baker, we have never been limited to a specific category. And you know what? If I look at the cash machine and myself online, we make as much money with the down tempo and deeper track than with the electro swing. So why put all your eggs in the same basket?
Well, exactly. I think that's very true. It's great that you've been able to kind of successfully release so many styles. So yeah, if it's working for you, then great. And what does the future hold for Bart&Baker? What can we expect in the coming months and years?
I feel okay. So we were ready to split before COVID, but now we know we have to come back with a revenge and something for the world. Basically, what's coming is another Phil Baliana release. It's one of our iconic performer. We have some great remixes by Chris Coco, which is a big figure of the Ibiza scene, and we have big disco remixes by Mark Lower, who's producing a lot of track with Ashley and Scarlett. It's coming out around June. We have the new Nicole Rochelle song, which we're very, very excited about.
Okay.
And so the time to make a video and all those things will come at probably before the electroswing party third release around December. And we have the acoustic collection of tracks. It's only track we wrote, not cover track, and it's all unplugged and with styles, with instruments. Because once again, we always have artists performing instruments in the studio, and we are very happy to show that the tracks can be made in an acoustic way. So, it will be released probably. The thing is that with the COVID, you don't really know what the calendar is anymore. You don't know if we're going to all be doing things in summer. So, we will the track when we'll be ready and happy with it.
Excellent. So there we go. We expect lots more music, which is great because obviously we all love your music. So I'm also really excited about the acoustic album that you talk about. I think that would be something different. Now I know you have lots of fans who all absolutely love what you do, and we have a few questions for you. When we do the Prohibition radio show, we do a little fan feature. So the first question, and now I know this lady is a huge fan of yours because she always says how much she admires you. This is from Madame Misfit, Sarah Jane. She asks for you, can you dance? As in, can you do the Charleston or the jive? And if so, do you ever do it at your shows?
Personally, I'm the one in the duo that has learned Lindy Hop for 3 years. So I've been learning Lindy Hop, and I actually did it for a very selfish reason. It's because I was feeling I was losing the vibe when I was writing a track. I needed to understand the rhythm and the way people dance. And the only way is actually to learn to dance yourself. And that was a great experience because my sum up of dancing experience is that you never really touch people during the day of your life. And when you dance with people, you touch people for 2 hours during the classes, and you end up having a lot of good vibe, exchange between the people, and that makes me very happy. Baker is not dancing, You have the famous sentence he likes to use. He says, like Churchill, no sport.
That was brilliant.
So no dance if it's
fair enough. I think that's another absolutely golden tip for DJs and producers, like even myself actually. When you say in order to feel the music, you need to dance the music. So that I think I'm going to go away and learn how to do the Lindy Hop. So thank you.
You can do a weekend, or
oh, okay.
There's a thunder clapping.
Wow.
Direct. Oh, yeah, you can do a weekend of Lindy Hop and you will get the basic, it's enough to.
Amazing. Sarah's also asked if you do the dance, which Bart, you say you do, can we have some video footage uploaded onto the internet for us all to see? Maybe someday. A question from Ellie Fish. Now, I did not ask him to say this. This is purely that's come through from the Facebook page.
Oh, yeah. Are we coming back
to come to Manchester? Yes.
Yeah.
I think in addition to the city and the audience, you are such a lovely guest.
Yeah.
And I remember we had this conversation when we used to do parties in Paris. We were always trying to make the performers as happy as possible.
Yeah.
Because when the performer is happy, he's sending back love to the audience when he plays. And honestly, you're one of the few ones that I work with that had such to care and willing to make the artist
like in Berlin,
cozy in your party. So that would be another reason for coming.
That's lovely. Well, and I can answer the question as well. Do they have any plans to come back to Manchester? Yes, they do, because we would love to have you back to play at Prohibition. When, we don't know because of obviously the coronavirus, but keep your eyes peeled and we will get some news for you soon. And a final fan question from Manu, Vasily Gemini. Another one about gigs. You've got a lot of people wanting to know when you're going to be playing next. Do you have any plans to return to running regular events
Well,
in Paris?
I can make the political response, or I can make the straightforward response. So let's go to the straightforward.
Yeah.
In this time, there's no more space for lies, you know. Basically, when we started producing parties, we were in a context when Lindy Hop was very weak in Paris.
Yeah.
There was only a few parties, and people needed the support of DJ to just make it happen in the club. And suddenly there were Lindy Hop classes everywhere, you know, thousands of people learning Lindy Hop. Electroswing was not seen as a good addition to parties, and then we were gently kicked out of the parties. If you add to this that, I don't know if you know the feeling, but I spoke with Ashley about it. You are never famous in your own city, basically.
Yeah.
People will pay a lot for Bart&Baker to come from Paris to play in America. But if we are coming in a club and there's not a big spending on media, promotion and everything, we may not be sure we're going to fill the club. Just because, you know, Parisians, they've got a big offer in shows and concerts, and they will always prefer to go and see Purple Disco Machine because they're not going to see them every day than go to see the good old Bart&Baker who live in Paris.
I'd come and see you if I lived in Paris.
So, you know, the response is never no, because we are two Buddhas now. We are very wise and we have learned from our story. And there's always a good project coming, you know, but basically there is not in Paris any producer in big clubs that really want to make a bet on electroswing anyway.
Yeah, well, hopefully things will change. You never know what the future holds. So we're kind of coming towards the end of the interview. So I've got a few questions for you, just quick fire questions. It's cognac or champagne?
Champagne, of course.
Yes, I thought you might pick that one. I've seen many a photo on Instagram of champagne.
My family comes from Cognac.
Oh, okay, controversial. And it's summer or winter, which do you prefer?
I think winter is the more inspiring season for us.
Yeah, I tend to agree. You can't beat getting all cozy and snug in front of a fire with a glass of champagne or cognac. And this question, I don't know if I'd be able to answer it myself, but swing or jazz?
I would say swing because I think it's more active as an experience than jazz, you know. Even if I like jazz, but swing is about matching the feet with the heart and the soul. So
that's
it's a little extra for me.
Yeah, that's a great explanation. And finally, what 3 things do you never go to a gig without?
We can answer to that. So we can show you the first thing we always bring to parties.
Oh, that's amazing. So the listeners, they have what are they? Penguins.
Penguins.
Two penguins. Can you explain why you take penguins to a gig?
Because, you know, our costume, people say we dress up penguins.
Penguin suit. That's very clever.
The second thing is the bottle of water.
Absolutely.
That's always a big joke because people come to us and say, hey guys, do you want to have a whiskey or something? We always say no, we want a bottle of water, and maybe we get totally drunk after the show, but no, not during the show.
Exactly. Very professional of you. And the final thing?
The final thing is actually my smartphone. Because I used to bring my camera, but no camera are good on the phone. And I always like to make a little selfie video at the end, you know. So that would be the third accessory I would bring. That's
a very sensible answer. Nobody has said that, but that makes absolutely perfect sense. You wouldn't get very far if you didn't have your phone with you. So that's great.
Did we pass the test?
You absolutely did. And I've learned something new because I didn't know about the penguins. So that's really cool. Well, I've absolutely loved talking to you, Bart&Baker. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules. Obviously, you have social media. You're on Instagram and Facebook and everything like that. So we'll make sure we drop the links.
And we've got 5 vinyls to be won.
Yes, they have 5 vinyls to give away. So
very limited, only 200 copies made. We'll get it signed, autographed, and sent with a lipstick trace on it.
Sealed with a kiss. That's amazing. So yeah, so obviously what we're going to do is we're going to do a little competition. So we'll be running this off the Facebook page. So I think we'll be doing it. Well, it'll be a like and share. So when you like and share, and we'll pick names as to who gets the vinyl. That's super lovely of you guys. I know there'll be lots of people that'll be itching to get those. There's some super fans out there, so that's great.
They basically never made it to the shop.
That's really sad,
they were only used for promo. So basically, the only way to get them is actually to knock on our page or to ask a nice Emma Clair to get it won.
Exactly. So I will be taking bribes. That was great. Thank you. Is there anything else? Anything you'd like to say finally before we go?
Well, even if maybe personally I was sometimes making a bit of itchy comments, I can actually say that this is a very positive community, we're very lucky to have been chosen to play in the electroswing circuit, because I can only remember Smythe, very few bad moments.
Yeah.
And probably we're still here today and enjoying it, because when we see Nicole Rochelle in the studio who still have it and is still very enthusiastic to do electroswing music, we're just happy. It's very corny and stupid feeling, but we have a feeling we do something good. So
I want to say also, after this COVID period so awful, the show must go on. So we're going.
So what I can tell you is that the song we wrote for Nicole is actually a special song for COVID.
Oh, wow.
It's called AU, and Nicole is talking to a friend who are still on confinement, and she asks a friend to go out and party and come back to swinging again. So this is a mantra song to get people back to the dancing stage.
That was great. I'm very excited to hear that. I think that's a lovely
I send you a sample, but only for you in secret.
That's lovely. Thank you, guys. And it's also, I think you hit on a really good point as well, just how lovely everybody is in the electro swing community. From my perspective as well, I've done work in lots of other genres, but the electro swing scene, it's really special. So I think we've got something really lovely to hold on to there, and I look forward to the day when we can all go on the dance floor again together and watch you, Bart&Baker, DJing and doing your thing. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your invitation, and maybe see you in Paris soon.